कितना ही ज्वाइन किया आज क्या हुआ? All right, let's get started. So I'll share my screen. Yeah. So I'll share my screen. Let me know once you can see it. Okay, let's. So before we start, let me just explain. What we are going to do today. Okay, so I'm going to revisit some of the topics that we learned last week, and we'll do a practical session. I think it's good to have a practical session so that it's easy for you to get well versed with MS Access. So why do we use MS Access? It's a database. You know, so basically, uh, mm, minute. So Yaksha, we are having a practical session. So you need to open the MS Access and download the files that I have emailed. Okay.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. All right. So why we use database is basically the main objective of database is to store the data. Okay, store the data and then link it with the dashboard. Now in our scenario we are using Excel as a front end tool. Okay, to create the dashboard. Okay, we can use Excel as a database also, but Excel is not known for a database. It is basically known for the manipulation of the data and then creating dashboards, reports. Okay, we can use Excel as a database, but it has a limitation and it can hold a very less number of data. Okay, and I mean the limit is sound issue in laptop. Okay, so in Excel, you can. I mean, there is a limit of 10 lakh rows, but Excel gets like start struggling when you have a data, let's say 4 lakh to 5 lakh or like 1 GB size of data. Excel will start struggling. It will create a lot of performance issue. I mean, sometimes Excel gets corrupted. Hence, we need a database. Okay? We need a database. To load to manage the data, and we can use Excel only for a front end. Okay, only for a front end purpose. Yeah, people are joining late. All right. uh, Now in reporting there will always be two scenario. Okay, when you do a report, the first scenario will be like you are doing a performance report of the company. The data is getting refreshed, let's say on weekly basis, but you do not have to append the data. I mean, you are not loading the data one below other, you are replacing the data. That is one scenario. Okay, the entire data needs to be replaced. So this is one scenario where one data file comes, you put it into the Access database, and you then through Access you load that data into your reports, dashboards. Okay, so this is one scenario. So in this case, if the data is not huge, you can use Excel as a database, like we did it in our earlier sessions. We were having different tabs for data and the different tabs for dashboard. So that is feasible for a small amount of data. But in case of the data is large, you need to use a database. uh, अरे यार, it's too late यार. Hi all. So people who have joined late, we are having a practical session. So you need to open MS Excel and also download the files. Okay, which I have emailed. All right. Yeah, as I said, there will be. So the second scenario will be, the first scenario is where you replace the data. I mean, the data size is huge and you're using a database. So this is first scenario. Okay, and all the manipulation of you data of the data you do it in access database. Okay. For example, you are doing a VLOOKUP, you are taking data from different tabs and everything that we did in Excel. You do all the data manipulation in access, and then finally load your data into uh, your dashboard report. So this is one scenario, and this is called make table. We learned a make table query in our access database. So for this specific use case, we'll be using a make table query, and we'll see in a bit, okay, what the make table query is. And the second scenario is where you load the data into the same database one below other on, say, whatever cadence, like weekly basis or monthly basis, depend upon your business scenario. In this, it is must to use the database, because Excel will is not a good option, and Excel will struggling, very soon. uh, if the data set is large, even if the data set is not large, it keeps growing because you're loading the data one below other. And Excel is not an right option for this uh, kind of scenario. Again, we load the data using access queries, we do all the manipulation in access, and finally the load the data in our dashboard. Okay, these are the two use case, the main use case of MS Access. This is generally people, this is why generally people use access database, um, basically to manage the data, to manipulate the data and everything. Okay, now very first step you need to do, you need to get open your MS Access database. I'll just close this one, I'll reopen it. Open your Access database and click on the blank database. So when you click on the blank database, it will ask you to save your database somewhere. Okay, you can save it anywhere. Um I will save it under MS Access. Let's say sales underscore DB underscore training. Okay, so this is the name of my database. I'm saving it under. I mean, you can choose to any folder you want. Okay, and then once we have saved the database, we will click on create. Okay, so once you create, you get to see this, a default table. We don't need this table, you can close this. Okay, now we'll first see, you know the scenario one, wherein we are basically replacing the data. Okay, now let's say this is my working template. I hope you all have downloaded these files. Okay, now the scenario one is, I very first thing, we need to set up a link table. Okay, our process is such that data needs to be loaded in your template, working template, and then basically it is linked to your Access database, and then on top of that we run queries. Okay, so you go to external data, new source from file, Excel. So once you get here, you will get to see two options. Currently there are no tables in our database, hence you are seeing two options. If there are any tables, you will get a third option, basically to uh, tell you that whether you want to append in the already existing table. Okay, so I'll choose a link table option, and I will select my working template. transition into database, MS Access. This is my working template. Okay, select on link table. Okay, now very first thing it will ask whether the first row content. Sometimes it is unchecked, so you need to ensure that it is checked. We want our first row to be the headers of our table. Next, then you can name your table. I'll say sales underscore link. Then finish. Okay. Is everyone able to do this? Can someone confirm?
Yes, please.
All right. Now my scenario is I think it's very simple. So in this scenario, we are doing a first scenario right now wherein the data is getting replaced every time. Okay, it is not getting appended. So for that, to hold this data and to link it with our pivot table in our dashboard, we need a table. Okay, we cannot, as we saw last time, we cannot link a link table directly with the pivot. Okay, we'll create a query. Go to yeah, you close this on it. So create, go to create, go to query design. Okay, click on query design and drag your sales link on your query panel. Okay, when you click on double click on star, it moves below. That means it is loading all data. Star means all data. Okay, all columns, all rows, everything. Okay, now I will click on query design, which is already selected. Click on make table and give name to your table, that is sales underscore replace. Okay, now there is a red button. Okay, red exclamatory mark. What is this? Uh, click on run. It will tell you you are about to paste it. Click on yes. Yes. Okay, so this creates a table. Okay, so if you see this icon, that means this is a static table. This is not linked to any particular source. But when you see link table, you will see this particular sign. Currently we have linked it with Excel sign, hence you are seeing an Excel icon here and with an arrow. So now save this query. Right click on your query and right click save. Name this as replace data. Replace data, bracket में mention make table. Okay, so now okay, the scenario is like, so we have the in the working table we had a data for July month. Okay, already. Okay, now we are into next month. Assume we are into next month and we have a data for August. We want to replace August ka data and load it into our database. Okay, let's first link this with a dashboard. Okay, I will create one uh, Excel file. Sorry. Okay, let's all right. So To link your Access database with your Excel, go to Insert, Pivot Table, from external data source, choose Connection, then browse for more, then select your database. Pivot, browse for more. Okay. Now, I'll do it again. Go to Pivot for external database, choose Connection, browse for more, and then transition. I'll select my database. What is the problem? Browse for more, transition to database, MS Access. Acha, we need to close the database. Okay? Okay. So we need to close our database. Only then it will allow you to link. Okay. Now let's say category. Okay. So let's say month. So now we have a July ka data here. Okay. And what we have created is a make table query. Now uh, we are in a assume that we are in the next month. We are in August and we want to load August ka data. Okay. So I'll open my database again. Okay, very first thing you need to do a working update your data in your working template. Okay, you are replacing the data. We are into first scenario wherein we are in any case we need to replace the data in your working template. I will load my August ka data into it. Okay, now I close my template. I'll open this and all I need to do is just run my query. Double click on my uh, yeah, modify, yes, yes. What's wrong here? I think it's because of this. Yeah, you need to close your. Yes. Read only. Didn't want any struggle today, yes. Okay, we're good. So all we need to do is just run our query and the data is replaced. Now we will open our dashboard and see what has happened. Okay. Now once we refresh our pivot table, okay, so you can see the July month has been replaced by August. Okay, so it has replaced the data. Okay, so when you refresh, earlier the data was July, and now uh, in your dashboard you will see the data has been replaced by August. Everyone good with this example? Yes, no? Want me to try
Not
again? Yeah.
not completely, but just little bit able to connect.
Okay. Were you all able to create this make table query?
Yes.
Rupesh?
Yeah, I have created that table.
And were you able to link it with the dashboard?
No, actually, I just got stuck after that.
Okay, just open your Excel. Open a new Excel and save it with the name of sales dashboard, everyone. Uh,
So we have to create a new Excel file.
yeah, create a new Excel file. So everyone is able to has everyone set up the Access database? All right. You need to open an Excel, okay, new Excel, and then go to Insert Pivot, and then you need to choose External Database. Just 1 minute. This is not required. ये ऑलरेडी लिंक में हम लोग ने डाला था ना अगस्त का डेटा. ठीक है. So once you do that, you will be able to connect your database with the pivot table. So is everyone able to follow what we are doing? Yaksha?
Yes, I understood. Actually, I joined little late, so I'm behind.
Acha.
I'm doing it, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What part are you working right now?
I have started like exporting data in sorry,
Importing data.
yeah, from external data to Access data database. Sorry.
Acha.
Yeah.
Okay. Very first thing you need to create a link table.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Create a link table.
Yeah, I have written the steps. I'm following that.
Acha. Okay. No problem. We'll move forward. Okay. So we are done with the first scenario. Okay. We saw the first scenario wherein we are replacing the data. So every month when you load a, so you will load your data in your working template. And the second step will be run query, run make table query. And third will be you need to refresh your pivot, refresh dashboard, I would say. So this three step you will be able to refresh your dashboard, but in this case the data will get overwritten. Okay, data will be replaced. Okay, now let's get into our new scenario. I'll close the sales dashboard because I think it's creating some linking issues. I'll save it and close it. Okay, now we'll get into our uh, second scenario. Okay, so in this scenario the data is getting appended one below other. Okay, uh, I mean the scenario is, I mean, every month the new data comes in and we need to load the data in our database. Okay, we'll use the same working template. No, this I no, I will use the different one. I'll create a new one, copy. I'll rename as working template append. Okay, removing the data. Okay, very first thing, say very we are in a very first month, that is June. June ka data comes in. We copy the data and paste it in our working template append. Okay, save it and we close it. June ka, this is data file. Okay, so we have loaded this June ka data. Okay, I mean in our working template we are yet to set up the database for that. Okay, uh, now I need to create one more link table to link my append ka working file. Excel, transition into database MS Access. This is my working file. Append. Okay, first row contains column heading. Next, I will name this as sales link. Okay, now this is the data where we'll, this is the link table we'll be using for our append query. Okay, now the next step is to create a query design. I'll take this. Okay, I want to put, now in this scenario I don't want to put all data. I want ये तीन चाहिए मेरे को. Then I want बाकी सारा. Okay, I have excluded some, I mean one or two column because I don't need it. Order date, ship date. Okay, now okay, so very first time when you run the query you have to run a make table so that it creates a new table in your database. Okay, when you're creating an append query, your first step will be to run a make table query so that it creates a new table. Then you need to, while saving, you need to change it to append query. Okay, I will name this as sales append. See, I'm very first time I'm creating a make table so that I will run this so that it creates a new table. But while saving, before saving, I will change this to append and I will say append in this particular, that is sales append only. Okay, and I'll click OK and save this as append query. Okay, so this icon represents it's an append query. Okay, now let's open our dashboard. This is our replace ka tab, and this is our load ka tab. I'll go to insert pivot table. I think I need to close the database first. From external source, choose connection. Wait. Put my cursor here. Choose connection. Browse for more. MS Access TV training. Now it is asking which table. See, because we have two different tables, now it will ask. If there is only one table, it will not ask. I want this cells append. Okay. Okay. I will say category month. Sorry, month यहाँ पे month, then sales. Okay. So now we have June ka data. Okay. In our append, in our replace ka we had August. We had replaced it from July. Load mein we have June ka data. Now assume we are in the next month, that is July. We'll close this dashboard. We'll do our processing. We are going to do our monthly processing. That is our monthly data ka we'll open July ka data and then copy it in our working template. Okay. July ka data hai. I'll open my working template and I'll, sorry, not this one, not this one. Yeah. I'll open this working template append. और यहाँ पे I will replace. This is my July ka data. And I'll save it. Open my DB. I'll run an append query. Okay. Now I'll close my dashboard database. I'll open my dashboard again and refresh my pivot to see what has happened. Okay. Now if I refresh, it will have both month. So it is loading the data. So understood the difference between replace and load. In the first case, it replace the data. In the second case, it load the data. Hence, we have data for both the month, right? Any questions? Are we good to move forward? Yes, no?
Yes, please.
Yes, Fish.
Everyone understood, right? Okay. Okay. So, anyways, I know the session is getting recorded. In case if someone has any query, they can go through the recording. And please reach out to me. Like when you are practicing, please reach out. In case if you have queries, I will try my best to reply you as soon as possible. Uh,
Yes.
now, okay. So now we have covered the first part, that we have understood the append part and the make table part, that is a replace part, which is very important. The next step we get into the data manipulation. So currently what we saw is just an straightforward data from Excel goes into our Access database and the same data gets loaded into our dashboard. But life is not going to be that easy. There will be data transformation required. You get data from multiple sources, you want to join the data. Sometimes you want to update the data. There's some changes you received, like say some sales manager has changed, you want to replace the name. So all this data manipulation is required in the data, and we'll see how to do that. Okay. What happened? Acha, Amol has joined. All right. So now let's take a scenario. Just 1 minute. Give me time to think. Okay. Uh, let's say we have two other data set. Okay. Uh, this is my data set. Let me create a new access so that it will not be confusing for you. Uh, database. This is sales training. Joins, I will say. So we are learning joins now. Let me create a append query from start so that it will be a quick revision for you also. From file, Excel, MS Access, वर्किंग टेम्पलेट अपेंड. इसमें जुलाई का डेटा है ना अभी. जुलाई का डेटा है ना. एक मिनट. मिनट आई जस्ट रिप्लेस इट विद जून का डेटा. से okay, so I'm just creating a new database. File, Excel. I'll go to MS Access. Working, इसमें already we have a June का data. Working template append. So assume that I have done all my working for the month. I received a June ka data. I put it in my working template, and now I'm linking. First row contains yes my sales link append. So my this is I've created a link. I need to create a table now. Okay, I'll take all data. Mm, okay, and then I will create a make table first so that I get a new table. Sales final and run the query. But before saving, I will change this to append. I'll say append to this table, same table. I'll click OK and save it as append query. Till here we have already seen. Now the requirement is, there are some orders. Okay, let's understand the data first. These are my orders. Okay, order ka data hai. Order, and this is for the month of June. Now there is one more file which is order written. There are some orders which are written, but it's in a different file. Okay, it has the order number and a column called written which has yes. That means this order have written. Okay, now we need to find out in our database that how many orders out of the total data have written. Okay, now this is my data for June. Okay, okay, and yeah, I need to get that order return card data into my database. Okay, you I'll go to external data, file, Excel. I'll create I mean, I will not. I'll create a link table, okay? Because in that, see, currently we are in a June month, okay? We are basically जो भी order return हुआ है वो जून का है, okay? In that file, okay? But next month again we'll go into July, and then in that order return का data we'll have July का data. This ना July का order return हुआ है. So we'll create a link table with an order return. First, see, in this case, the it is not checked. Okay, access was not able to identify. We need to do it manually. We'll name it as order return. Huh. So this is my order return का table, and this is my total data for June. Okay, इसमें अभी जून का data है पूरा. When you see this, the table, you see only June का data here. Okay. Now I want to find out कितना जून का order return हुआ है. Okay. I'll bring my order return का table here. Okay. And we'll join this two table. Okay. So there is a concept called join. It is similar to VLOOKUP in Excel. Okay. And there has to be a similar column. Now we have order ID through which we can link. I'll just simply drag it to this table so that it will link. So it will create a link between two table. And there are three types of joins. Now first is only include rows where the join fields from both tables are equal. मतलब दोनों सेम रहेगा, दोनों इक्वल रहेगा तो ही वो इट विल शो. Okay. The second is include all data from your sales final append and only the matching data from order ka data. Okay. So this is what you want. This is the VLOOKUP one. Okay. Include all data from sales link and only the matching data from your second table, that is order data table. And third is of no use, include all data from both, which is not used only. I mean, that doesn't make any sense only. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now I have created, initially I had created a star. Okay. Now we'll manually put our columns in our database. That is, I'll just drag everything so that we get to see each and every row. From sales append I have taken everything, and from order date I'll take order ID. Now I'll take return column. Okay. So see, I'm creating one data set. Okay. I'm creating one data set, and I think I will get an error while appending because हम लोग का जो existing table में ये column नहीं है. I think I should get an error. अच्छा नहीं, it is not. See, it will run, but it will not show the return का column because पहले हम लोग ने जब append किया था there was return का column नहीं था. What we can simply do is, I'll delete this one. I'll explain again. One thing is getting little confusing. I'll create a make table. Sales and final. Okay. So now we have created a table which is joining these two data set based on order ID, and it is giving us an additional column called return, which will be seen in our database. See, okay, so this many orders have returned. Okay, so this is basically now the table is a result of two. We have joined two data sets and created one table out of it. Okay, so this is how we have created the table. So we took these two data set, we joined it based on the order ID was common field in both the, yeah, but, and we have taken all columns from this and only the return column from our order return table and created this data set. Okay, I'll revise the steps. Okay, so you don't have to delete it manually. Okay, now let's take okay, I will not revise the step, we'll continue with one more data set. Okay, now let's see, there is one more data set called sales manager. Okay, sales manager इसमें we have region wise data and then we have sales manager. We want to map this sales manager in our data. Okay, so I will take this data again in my database. I'll again create an external data. This time I don't want link. This is a one-time work. The sales data will not change. Like even if this change, this will change say after 6 7 months, whenever someone resigns or anything. Okay. So I don't need a link table here. I need a static table. Let's say sales manager. I'll create a simple uh, table. First row, next, no primary key, then sales manager. Okay, so I've got a new table here which I'll bring in my query. Okay, now one column is common between, this is our main table. Okay, this is our main data set in which we are linking data from other data sets. Region is common. Okay, we have common region, so we'll link it with region. Okay, now again we need to select the join type. This is 90% of the time this will be used. Basically this is include all data from your first table and the matching data from your second table. So this is what, this is VLOOKUP and this is what commonly used. Okay, I'll click OK, and now I need to add a column. Okay, add a column from this which is sales manager. I'll just double click and it will be added. Now when I run the query, see, when I run the query, you will not see sales manager. Why? Because the table that I have created, in that I have not added a sales manager. Okay. Uh, let's say when I run the query, it will get dependent. So what we need to do is, because this is something which we have added new, what we need to do first, create a make table. Okay. Keep the same name so that it deletes the old table and replace it with the new. Okay. The existing table will be deleted before. I say yes, yes, and then we'll change to append. Okay. Now if you will see, you will see a sales manager also mapped. थोड़ा confusing है ना? हाँ? हाँ, region wise. Now it is mapped through region. Okay, for based on this किधर गया? Based on the matching region, it has mapped the data sets. Okay, west का Alex Hales, east का Michael Jordan. Okay, similarly. Okay, I know it will be confusing, hence you need a practice. uh, Let me just think what is a better option. Everyone understood this query? Okay, so these are basically joins. In SQL it is termed as a, in SQL it is termed as a joins, when we join to multiple tables and create one source. Okay, you can also see कहाँ पे तो तुमको SQL भी देखने मिलता है इसका. नहीं, I'm not able to get. अच्छा हाँ, यहाँ पे see when you create a SQL, this it has back in backend it has generated an SQL query. Okay. Okay, now any questions? That I moved to 30. Do you want me to do this again? Anyone?
Please, I will refer your recorded video.
Refer the video. Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Then let's move to our next topic. Okay. Well, we'll first get the data loaded. Okay. We'll first, currently we just have June ka data. So we'll load July and August ka data also. Okay. Now I'll close my database. Let's say I'm into a new month, that is July ka month. I'll open my July ka data. Okay. I will open my working template. Okay. I'll replace the data. I'll add July ka data to it. Okay, I'll close this. I'll open my Access database once again. Joins wala. I'll run my query. Okay. Now you'll have June and July ka data in your database. Similarly, we will do for August also. I'm in August month. I have got August ka data, and access working template append. I'll remove July ka data from my working template. We'll add August ka data into it. I'll again run my queries. Okay, so when we are running the query, it is performing all tasks. It is basically, you know, joining and everything, and then finally putting the output under this table. Now we'll run the query so that we get August ka data also appended. Okay, so now we will see, when we check, we get to see we have 3 months ka data in इसमें. Okay, now let's create one scenario. Now we want to see how to use an update query. Let's say the scenario is जून जुलाई तक वेस्ट रीजन का. Okay, let's create one more data set. एक मिनट, I just created dashboard. Name is join. I will create a pivot from my new database. We'll have to close this first. For more, takes MS Access, joins. The month, sales manager. I'll put a region, then sales. ठीक है. अभी the scenario is सितंबर में there is a change in the sales manager. Okay, सितंबर मंथ में माइकल जॉर्डन मूव हो गया एंड उसके जगह पे कोई और आ गया. द नेम शुड बी लेट्स से कुछ भी स्टुअर्ट और लेवल से स्टुअर्ट डी. Okay, okay, so I'll save this dashboard. I'll close this. Now there is a change in my sales manager. So very first thing you need to do when you receive a communication that there is a change in the sales manager, you will go do one thing. Sales manager में जाके you will change the mapping. Okay, so this table is linked with your access database. What you will do, माइकल के जगह पे what डेल आ गया. ओके, ईस्ट में. ओके, ईस्ट रीजन का मैपिंग हैज चेंज्ड. विल जस्ट change, and this is from September onward, so you are into month of September and you have changed it. Okay, so now very first thing you need to load the data in your template for September. The data September, I'm loading the September का data. I'll open the database join वाला. Okay, now this sales का linked है, right? अच्छा, यहाँ पे वो sales we have not linked. Okay, sales manager we have not linked, so it will not, so there is no point in changing का वहाँ पे. Okay, all right, let's do an append query. Let's see what will happen. So even though we changed it here, it will not change because it's not a linked table. Understood why it will not change? Anyone?
Yes, because we have not linked it.
Yeah, it is not a linked table, it's a static table. Now when I run an append query, it will load the data. Okay, and when you open the dashboard, we'll be able to see September का data. We'll be able to see, but वो जो बंदा का नाम change नहीं हुआ because it was a static table. Okay, so in this case let's see how we'll do the name change. Okay, हम लोग ने अगर लिंक टेबल किया रहता तो सितंबर में चेंज हो जाता था, बाकी के महीने में नहीं होता था. राइट, एवरीवन अंडरस्टूड? बाकी के महीने में नहीं होता था लेकिन सितंबर में हो जाता था बिकॉज सितंबर का डेटा वाइल वी आर लोडिंग वी हैव चेंज द नेम इन द टेबल. अंडरस्टूड? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू थिंक दैट इट विल चेंज फॉर ऑल द मंथ्स? अगर वो लिंक टेबल रहता था तो it would have changed for all months or only for the respective month that we are loading.
Only for respective month because it is appended.
Right, exactly, you're right. Okay, so in this case it did not change the name because we did not have the link table in our access database. Yes, now in case we'll now in this case we will write an update query. Okay, we'll go to query design, we'll create a temporary query, we don't need to save this query. This is my final data. Okay, I need to name the manager as sales manager. किधर गया? Sales manager को I'll select. I'll create an update query. See this, we are learning a different type of query, that is update. Okay, it is asking to, क्या नाम है अपना, नाम दिया था स्टुअर्ट, STUART, स्टुअर्ट डेल. ओके, अपडेट टू स्टुअर्ट डेल. क्राइटेरिया क्या है? क्राइटेरिया रहना चाहिए, क्या नाम था उसका यार, कौन सा भी किधर गया सेल्स मैनेजर. अरे इधर तो नहीं मिलेगा ना अपने को अभी. शी यार, इसमें से लेना पड़ेगा अपने को. अच्छा नहीं, इसमें था ना, अपना डैशबोर्ड में है. क्या था, माइकल जॉर्डन ना. माइकल जॉर्डन. ओके. Okay, so I'm writing an update query, but right now it will change for all. We are not specifying the month here, right? If we run this query, it will change for all throughout. So we also need to specify month, कि कौन सा month से start करना है करके. We want to change the month. आप ले लो, and the criteria should be September. Okay. Now this query will change, will update माइकल जॉर्डन विथ स्टुअर्ट ओनली फॉर द मंथ ऑफ सितंबर. अगर ये नहीं लिया रहता था हम लोग ने, इट वुड हैव चेंज फॉर ऑल, पूरा डेटा सेट. राइट, सो दिस वी आर राइटिंग एन अपेंड क्वेरी. ओके, दिस विल चेंज फॉर ऑल, बट मंथ को डबल क्लिक करो एंड देन क्राइटेरिया में मेंशन सितंबर. ओके, एंड देन रन दिस क्वेरी. You are about to update 133 rows. Say yes. I'll close this query. This was a temporary, I mean, it was a one time change. I do not need to do it again and again. I'll close this. I'll not save it. Okay, I don't need that query to be saved. Now when I open the dashboard, I close my database first. Now if I refresh it, you will see it, this name has changed. Everyone understood? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, good. So similarly we have a delete query. Okay, so for any condition, if you want to delete, let's say सितंबर में वेस्ट का रीजन बिजनेस ने बेच दिया किसी और कंपनी को. ओके, लेट्स से कंपनी ने वेस्ट का रीजन ही नहीं है अभी, वी नीड टू रिमूव वेस्ट का रीजन बिकॉज इट डजंट बिलोंग टू अस. लेट्स से हाउ वी डू दैट. ओके, आई विल गो टू माय एक्सेस डेटाबेस. I will create again a temporary query. It's a one time work. वन टाइम वर्क क्योंकि आगे से वेस्ट का डेटा आने वाला नहीं है. एंड आई वांट टू रिमूव वेस्ट का डेटा फॉर सितंबर मंथ इसमें से. सो आई वेस्ट, आई विल डू ए delete query. इसमें I'll select region. Okay, I'll select a delete query where it is asking. I need to put criteria is west, but not from all the data. I want it only for September. So I'll also select a month, September. Okay, now when I run this delete query, Cross tab is again is similar to the pivot table. We'll see. Okay. You are about to delete 91 rows. I'll say yes. I'll not save this query because I don't need it regularly. It's a temporary query. I close my. I'll open my dashboard. I know. And when I refresh it, see there is no West in the September. Okay. Everyone understood?
Yes.
All right. Now, I think the last type of query, that is cross tab query, is nothing but it's a very simple, like pivot table. If you want to create a aggregated data, uh, किधर गया database? Okay, this cross tab query, let's say, I've also not used it for a long time, so I need to recollect a bit. Uh, Acha. See, you want to aggregate the data, you want to see the segment wise sales. Similar like pivot हम लोग create करते हैं segment wise sales के लिए. यहाँ पे it is called cross tab. Now if you run this query, what I have done is group by. When you click on this, it creates a group by, and then you can select. This is a segment. This is I want sum of sales. Okay. Now if you run this, you'll get to see the segment wise sum of sales. So it's exactly like pivot table. So let me do it once again. Okay. So in pivot, if you want, say, uh, segment wise, state wise, and region wise, you want to see the sales. Okay. अभी यहाँ पे if you directly run ऐसा ना, तो it is giving you the whole data. It is not giving you an aggregated data नहीं दे रहा आपको. Okay. It is not. It is giving the each and every line item. Okay. It is not giving you an aggregated data. To aggregate data, you need to create a cross tab, and sales को you will change this to sum, so that you get to see an aggregate data based on these dimensions and measures. Now if you run, क्या हो गया? Specify one or more row heading option, one column heading option, and one value option. I don't know what's wrong here.
तुझे जो क्रॉस टैब के सामने सम सिलेक्ट नहीं किया, शायद से वो ब्लैंक दिख रहा है. सम ऊपर सिलेक्ट किया आपने टोटल पे.
नहीं, ये नहीं रहता है, इधर ही रहता
वैल्यू
है, टोटल में ही रहता है. सम टोटल में आएगा ऑप्शन, देखना. So you get an option, na? 1 minute, yaar, because I'm also using it for after a very long time. Let me recollect a bit. Query design, cross tab query. To create a cross tab, you must specify one or more row heading option, and one value option. I don't remember actually. अरे यार, अच्छा यहाँ पे there is something. Oh, अच्छा अच्छा, it is a column heading, and now it should work. अच्छा, this is value option क्या? This is value. किधर गया? हाँ? Mm, I'll maybe in our next session I can do a quick. It's been a long time I have used this. I don't remember. So generally we do pivot table in Excel only. This hardly someone would be using this because this is exactly like pivot table when it creates a cross step. So maybe I'll recollect in the next session. I can cover this. I just need to. But hope everyone understood every like all the other different tabs. So we'll also see a delete query. One second. So we saw the delete query, right? We deleted the west column. And if you like, generally the delete query is used to delete the null values. Let's say if you want to delete a null values from your data set, like this is my data set, and you want to delete all the null values. I'll say row ID criteria is null. So there are so many null values in our data set. Okay, so I'll just say yes, and it will delete all the null values. I mean blank rows. So what happens is when we are putting data in our Excel, you know, it is also adding some blank rows into our data, which we don't want. Okay, this query you can save. Okay, you can save using delete null because you need to run this all the time after you do your processing. So this is the sign of the delete query. Okay, any questions? See, this is important to learn. So maybe next session I can give you an introduction session on SQL. I don't plan to, teach SQL from start, but it's going to be an introduction session on. I'm just going to show you what all things can be done in SQL. We'll basically take some examples similar to what we did in Access, how we can do the same thing in SQL. Okay, we'll see that it's going to be an introduction session, a one session on SQL. But for that to understand, it's very important that you understand all this concept. Okay, append query, make table query, and everything, because we are going to replicate the same thing in SQL. Okay, in next session. So try to practice this, in this next few days. Just try to practice, and if you have any questions, reach out to me, and we can quickly connect and resolve your query. Okay.
Sure.
All right, I think that's it for today. Thank you very much all for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Piyush.
Thanks.
Yeah. समझा ना आज
ये मतलब डेटा सेट हम लोग अपेंड का मुझे ठीक से समझा कि डेटा सेट हम लोग चेंज करते रहेंगे एक्सेल में, लेकिन वो एक्सेस में स्टोर होते रहेगा।
हाँ, एक के
और वो
नीचे
अपडेट होते रहेगा
एक के नीचे
एक के
हाँ,
नीचे। उसके पहले जो किया ना वो थोड़ा
वो मेक टेबल मतलब उसमें रिप्लेस करेगा, उसमें अपेंड नहीं करेगा।
ओके, मतलब डेटा स्टोर नहीं करेगा, अपडेट करते रहेगा।
हाँ, मतलब वो एक के नीचे एक नहीं डालते जाएगा, रिप्लेस करते जाएगा। ये देखिए, रिप्लेस, ये जो क्वेरी है ना, ये जो क्वेरी है ना,
लेकिन
ये
अगर
डेटा को ये
उसमें
टेबल पे रिप्लेस कर देगा
हाँ,
डेटा।
हमें अगर प्रीवियस जो यूज किया डेटा वो अगर फिर से देखना हो
हाँ,
तो
तो उसके लिए अपेंड क्वेरी बना देगा।
अपेंड करेगा।
मतलब ऐसा दो सिनेरियो रहता है, तो रिपोर्ट बनाता है, दो सिनेरियो रहता है। एक दिन तेरे को बोलेगा कि अगला महीना सेम डेटा आता है, लेकिन पूरा रिप्लेस करने बोलता है हम लोग तेरे को। और ऐसा आता है कि मंथली तेरे को अपेंड करना, दोनों सिनेरियो आएगा तेरे पास। एक सिनेरियो में तो रिप्लेस करेगा, एक सिनेरियो में तेरे को अगर हर मंथली का डेटा तेरे को मंथ का चार्ट दिखाने का है सब, तो तू अपेंड करते जाएगा। सिनेरियो पे डिपेंड करता है। हाँ, थोड़ा प्रैक्टिस करिए थोड़ा। हाँ, अरे ये स्टॉप नहीं किया।